What is going on, everybody? Today we're going to go back in time and show you how you can AFK the legendary Corporeal Beast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you guys know when I upload new methods like this. Now once you're ready, grab your gear, let's dive in. As for the requirements you will need to make this an AFKable method, you will need 90 plus combat stats, and we will be using melee, so make sure your attack, strength, defense, and your constitution are all at least level 90. After that, we do have 95 plus prayer, since we will be using ancient curses, and we will be using the turmoil and soul split curses. You'll also need 107 Herbler so you can make your Elder Overload salves. Following up, you'll also need level 70 plus invention so you can actually create a kinetic cyclone. You're also going to want to try to get 98 plus archaeology just for certain relic powers that we're going to talk about here in a little bit. As for the quest, you will need to complete Summer's End or you will not be able to fight Corporeal Beast. After that, you'll need Death to the Dorgashun so you can actually unlock the ability to create kinetic cyclones and Oldite coils through the technology trees. And then once more, you will need the Temple S Intestine to be completed so you have your ancient curses unlocked. The only recommendations that I do have is 112 invention so you can make potion reservoirs so you can make this a super AFKable method. After that, the restocking cannon perk that you get from the artisan workshop rewards so you don't have to worry about restocking your cannon over the entire hour of AFKing Corporeal Beast. For the gear, we will be running with 4 pieces of the primal equipment with the helm, plate body, plate legs, and the boots. For the gloves, we will be using cinder bands since Corp is poisonable. For the cape, we will be using the fight killing melee cape since we do not need the Zut cape for this method. For our necklace, we are going to be using an Essence of Finality with no special abilities in it at all. Now for the ring, we will be using the Champion's Ring since Corp is going to be bleeding throughout all of the kills. It will give you a 3% chance of critical strikes, so Champion's Ring works here perfectly fine. As for the ammo slot, we will be using the Primal Abyssal Armor Spikes. You don't need them, it just helps increase your kill times. For the weapon of choice, we will be using the Spear of Annihilation. Now, if you have the Masterwork Spear of Annihilation, use it since it will go hand in hand with all the bleeds. But if you don't and you want to save a bunch of GP, Spear of Annihilation is the next thing to do. And in our pocket slot, we do have the Scrimstraw of Vampirism since it will give us a bunch of healing back and it only works with melee. As for the inventory, you have your potion reservoirs, your Elder Overload salves to go inside of those, your weapon poison plus, some magic notepaper in case you get lucky with some drops, our powder of penances, our quorum incense sticks, and our kinetic cyclone, along with a bunch of cannonballs for the entire hour, and our enhanced Excalibur if you have it unlocked. For the relic powers, the 2 most important ones to have is Persistent Rage and Fury of the Small. If you don't have Persistent Rage, this is not going to be an AFKable method for you guys because you want to make sure you have as much adrenaline at the beginning of every single fight or it's just going to go south pretty quick for you. For the 3rd slot for your relic powers, it could be whatever you can fit inside of there, so I threw Luck of the Dwarves in there because why not? If we can get an HSR in the future, might as well have it there. Now for the perks for the weapon, it is not mandatory. If you have something, just throw it on your weapons. It doesn't hurt as long as it's not a negative perk, of course. But I was using Eruptive 4, Ultimatums 4, Crackling 4, which it did do a little bit of extra ability damage. But again, it is not a mandatory thing that needs done. Now if you guys forgot how to get to Corp after doing the quest, you can either run straight north from Fort Thorentry, or you can use the lodestone, run northeast to the little dot that you see on this map here, and that will be the entrance to Corp where I am currently standing in the background here. There's also different ways. Of course, there's War's Retreat if you have at least 1 kill of Corporeal Beast, or if you are max and don't have a single kill, then you can go to the max portal right onto the top left of the entire max guild, and you just reattune the portal to Corporeal Beast. Now, of course, you want to make sure you want to have everything activated before you actually start an instance with Corp. So you want to make sure that your Elder Overload salves is inside of your potion reservoirs if you're using it. If not, take a sip of it. Take a sip of your weapon poison plus. Overload all of your quorum incense sticks. Use them all for an entire hour. Use both of your powder of penances and turn on your penance aura. I will explain why we are using both of them here in a little bit. Once you have everything activated, join the instance. As you see, I actually had a little bug going on to where I was just clicking it nonstop and it wasn't working until I actually closed it out. But once you get into an instance, you want to make sure you run into the exact spot that I'm going to be running into to set up your kinetic clone. So you want to run up to the north up here, right below the grave. You're going to set up your kinetic clone. You're going to then activate it, and you're going to walk directly under it. At this point, you're going to turn on your soul split and your turmoil prayers. And that is exactly why we are using the penance aura and the powder of penances, because you just cannot upkeep enough with just the powder of penance for all of your prayer uses. Now, also the main reason why we are standing underneath this kinetic cyclone is for the Corporeal Beast to walk to you, so it goes into melee range, and the kinetic cyclone will also deal a bunch of damage along the way. Now, you can always make a point that you can even use an ODAC coil here, but I've noticed that the ODAC coil does use so much more cannonballs within the hour, so we opted just to stick with the kinetic cyclone. Now, you may have also noticed that we are not using any type of familiar whatsoever, and if you guys are brand new to Corp does eat any familiar you bring unless it is your legendary pet. So when you bring a legendary pet, make sure your scavenge is there, so you can make this an actual super AFKable method and have your legendary pet pick up all of the loot that you want it to pick up. So whatever you do, do not bring any type of familiar scrolls, because Corp will eat it almost immediately and leave you with one less thing that can help you throughout all of the kills. As for the Revolution bar, we are going to use a full 14 slots on the Revo bar, and it goes as Quake, Hurricane, Debilitate, Chaos Roar, Overpower, Blood Tendrils, Dismember, Slaughter, Assault, Sever, Cleave, Fury, Sacrifice, and Punish. Again, I would like to point out, I'm not too fluent when it comes to melee within RuneScape, so if you guys know why this is a method that works with the Revo bar, please let me know down in the comments. So while doing this method, the only things you have to keep an eye out for would be your potion reservoirs, your weapon poison plus, and if your cannon needs to be refunctioning. I can't remember how it is, but if you don't deal with the cannon every 24 minutes, I believe, the cannon will explode and you will lose your cannon throughout the process. I'm only emphasizing on that because that happened to me during this method because I was not paying attention. As for the type of profits you can actually make by fighting this boss for 1 hour, you're looking about using about 3.3 million GP in that hour, and that's mainly because of your cannonballs and your powder of penances. But then you also have to factor in your quorum incense sticks, your elder overload salves, and if you even use the primal abyssal armor spikes. But we're not going to calculate the primal armor spikes inside of this at all, since you don't need to use them. Now, after doing about an hour of Corp with doing the melee method, I got about 11.7 million GP worth of drops, but what caught me off guard was the 299 blue charms. And to my knowledge, this might actually put in the competition with Arc Glacier. Now, if I got that wrong, please let me know down in the comments, but 299 in an hour does not seem like a bad thing to me whatsoever. Now, for the final profits, it's not even including the major drops that you can get from Corp, which could go all the way up to about 26 million. And after all of that has been said, you can expect around 8.3 million GP per hour for AFKing the Corporeal Beast, which in the sense of making GP through combat, it is not that great. But again, you're only AFKing Corporeal Beast, and if you want, you might be able to AFK if you have a certain setup without having to use cannonballs, which is your main expense. But that does come an end to this video. If you guys found anything new or useful, make sure to hit that like button. If you guys are brand new to the channel and you like PVM work like this or any kind of money making methods that I like to do on this channel, make sure to hit that sub button, hit the notification bell so you guys know when I upload next. But until next time, guys, I hope you stay safe. See ya.